Moving on to our second panel, which is titled Driving Change, Practical Insights into International Collaboration. We will be beginning with it shortly. I'd like to invite our moderator, Jessica, who is the co-founder of EKHOS and the co-director of GIBEF. She will be joined by panelists Mr. Rameshwara Nand, State Program Manager, IMAGO Grassroots, Mr. Aashish Beergi, founder and CEO of MASH, Ms. Renu Sharma, CEO and Director, Rajwarah Jewellers Private Limited, Ms. Monica Moore, Senior Manager, CSR and Corporate Communications, Perfetti. I request all the panelists and our dear moderator to kindly join us on the dais.
Yes, Renu is not...
We're missing somebody? Yes. Okay. So Jessica, you're coming here, right, with the moderator again?
You know, I work in branding and I like to be below the picture of everyone.
Below the picture?
Yes.
So maybe we can just arrange this a little bit.
I'm the communication
So you want to be in the middle?
Excuse
No, below the picture.
Below your picture.
Monica, you're here.
You
I'll
want to
be
be here?
mine.
Ram
Rameshwara,
there.
you're here. Yes. So, do we have Renu or no?
What?
Do we
She's
have
not
Renu?
here?
No, she won't be coming.
Okay.
Unless she
No worries.
joins
Thank you,
us.
Jessica. I'll now request you to take over. Thank you.
One more thing. There are people in the room from Latin America, from India, and I invite you to mix the places in the round tables to know each other. You are welcome to know each other. So please, people from Latin America, come from this side and mix with people from India. Please. Please. Right now. Please. Please. Yes? No.
And if you also hear people speaking, it's not they are rude, but we have a few translators. So we have
Yeah, I just saw one who's, I think he knew Spanish, so he was translating for the general.
Yes, yes. It's not they are just chatting. Are we? Yes. Okay, well, thank you for joining us today. Welcome. We are very pleased to have you here. And the three of you have very interesting things to tell us about today. So maybe if we can start with a quick round of introductions, telling us a little bit about yourselves, about your organizations. If you would like to start, Aashish.
Oh, sure. Is this on?
Yeah.
Hi.
No, sorry, here. If it's green, it should work. Oh, sorry.
Hello, hi. Good morning, everyone. I'm Aashish. I run an organization called MASH Project Foundation, which works on ecosystem development for social entrepreneurship. And we look at community building, capacity development, and campaigns. Very excited to be on this panel, and thank you for Jessica and the team, organizing team, for having us here.
Hello, good morning everyone. I am Ram and I work for an organization called IMAGO Global Grassroots, which is a global non-profit based out of US, but we have two large offices, one in Latin America and the other one is in India. And we largely work on missing middle in the development sector, and we mostly work in India on grassroots, and largely the focal point of our work is around women empowerment through multiple projects. So yeah, that's a short introduction about IMAGO.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Monica Moore. I head the corporate social responsibility and corporate communications for an MNC called Perfetti Van Melle India. We are a subsidiary of Perfetti Van Melle, which is an Italian-Dutch company, started somewhere in 1946, and we are present in 150 countries with our products, and we are located with our offices across 38 countries, and South America is definitely, Brazil is one of our big plants that we have. I don't know if anyone can take a guess what are the products that we make, because that's a problem a lot of us yeah, yes, absolutely.
We eat a lot of sweets in Latam too.
So most of the products that we make are confectionaries from brands like Chupa Chups, Alpenliebe, Happy Dent, Center Fruit, Center Fresh, Just Jelly. So those are all the brands that we have. And of course, a lot under the radar because of the packaging that is there. So that's about me. Okay, I have been in this industry of social sector for approximately 20 years, and the past 3 years I've been working with Perfetti. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'll start with a question for Ram. So I know IMAGO because we are also part of the Impact Latam network with EKHOS. We have been co-founders of this network, and we had the pleasure to meet IMAGO's team from Latam, which we have shared many spaces. So I want to ask you, since this organization is present both in Latin America and in India, regions with very different cultures, very different, well, not so different challenges, we have similar ones. But I want to ask you, how is it in the everyday life, in the projects that you have, to work with people from different cultures and contexts? What does it take? What are the challenges that you have faced? And what are the benefits of working with people from different places?
Thank you, first of all. Well, this panel is, the title of the panel is Practical Insights. So I'll focus on the practical insights of day-to-day working with organizations and people in international collaboration. You know, the first thing I think ma'am rightly mentioned just a while ago, that people from one geography was sitting here and other geography was sitting here. That's the first challenge that we also face on a day-to-day basis. And that emanates from the cultural differences that we have. The languages that we speak, which are very different, and definitely the time difference that we work across. So while these are the fundamentals, but then there are aspirational challenges also. The needs, the development needs of people in India are slightly different from the development needs of people in Latin America, or for that matter, some other developing countries as well. So, but the focus of whatever we do at the center of it is that in order to navigate these challenges, we try and keep the culture at the root of it. Whenever we work with grassroots, be it on social entrepreneurship, be it on capacity building, be it on agriculture projects, what we keep in mind is that we try and co-create solutions. One thing that we firmly believe in is that people around the problems are the experts, and so we leave the baggage of coming across as an expert outside when we interact with people from across the geographies. And so what that helps us is to then become a participant and a learner itself whenever we are in the conversation with these two geographies. And so that's why what we have seen is that through very frequent day-to-day meetings to, you know, challenges-oriented focused groups, these are some of the small instances which we have created within the two offices of Latin America and India, that we are able to navigate through most of the challenges that we do. And largely, overall what I have observed in so many years of my working across these two geographies is that if the conversation is alive, and it is forced, or maybe it is helped through a continuous feedback channel of discussing challenges, ideating solutions, implementing it, and then feeding into the feedback loop of what worked and did not work. If you are in conversation through all these things, I think what we have seen is gradual improvement in how we navigate any of the challenges that we face.
Fantastic, thank you. That was a wonderful insight. Aashish, I want to ask a question for you. So you work at the grassroots levels. You have many projects. Can you share with us an insight of a project that you were able to scale from a local community to another country?
Sure. Yeah, I hope you can hear me. Yes. So I think there are countless number of examples where we work with some of our partners, where I think technology has been a great enabler in building that bridge between grassroots to working with like-minded partners across other geographies as well. One such good example is where we worked with the Canadian government, High Commission of Canada in India. So we've created a very interesting program called, we started in 2 years back called 28 for 28. This was around the COP28, which was happening in Dubai, the big climate change conference. So we identified that there's such great work that young people are doing in taking charge for climate, right? But there's so much to learn from other young people across other regions as well. So we created this cohort of 28 young people from India who would also learn and cross-collaborate with other like-minded young people from other regions as well. And we took few stories from India and highlighted them at the COP28 in Dubai. The project was quite successful. We had the climate change ambassador visit India, and she spoke about this program. And then next year we were able to scale this program as 29 for 29. And this year, last year took that to Azerbaijan where the COP happened. This year it's going to be in Brazil. So a lot of work is underway to launch the next leg of that program. But I think the insight from this particular program that we've had is, in terms of there is such great work happening across different geographies, but really finding right platforms like EKHOS, like there's so many such networks, collaborating platforms to find like-minded organizations with whom you can co-learn, co-share, right? That's one. Second is to build communities where you keep opening these opportunities for your for your project partners, right? Like in our case, our key stakeholders are these young people, right? So many of them, we have seen that they're continuing to collaborate among the cohort, but at the same time also finding like interesting like similarities, learnings, collaboration opportunities across geographies as well, right? So there are examples where people are looking to now co-create programs. Some of it again could be just virtual in nature because it's heavy on campaigning, but then you can do that because that technology allows you to do that, right? So that's one example that comes to my mind, but there are of course many more.
Thank you so much. And Monica, in your case that you work in CSR, can you share how the CSR departments work in an international corporation like yours, and what are the learnings that you have had over the years in engaging with different CSR departments around the world? Or I can share this.
When it comes to CSR, honestly, India is the only country that has actually created a roadmap for the companies. And the first of which was in 2013, they came with the regulation of 2% of your average net profits of the past 3 years. And then there's certain categorization that if you reach, let's say you have a 500 crore net worth, then you ought to spend that much amount for CSR. For the rest of the countries where our company is present, CSR is not a mandate. But we do it voluntarily. So it was something that we have been wanting to do right from the beginning. And our consumers are anywhere from a 5-year-old child to a 50-year-old or a 60-year-old, 70-year-old. They all kind of enjoy our products. So what we wanted to do was we move into the communities without even the mandate being there and work with the communities where we have factories. So first of all, when you have a plant in whichever part of the world, it's a moral responsibility to kind of look for the community where the plants are located, because you're using the resources that could have been used otherwise by the rural area or the community where the plants are set up. So you start from that very small thing where you work with either children who are from the less privileged communities. Now in India, being the fact that we have a certain budget and we run probably 22 to 23 projects span India, we are the center when it comes to doing corporate social responsibility. So the rest of the OCs that we have, they're kind of looking into us as to how are we leading it with the communities. And we work in the education space, we work in the environment space. In fact, the previous panel was talking about solid waste management. We are really taking big steps in working with the community towards that. We're working for skilling the youth. And of course, we're working in water management. So if there is an issue where there's no water being, potable water, I would say, available to the community where the factory is, we're ensuring that there's a pipeline, there is an RO, there's the technology that will help them to access certain facilities which we can provide. So India is kind of leading in terms of these kind of projects, and the rest of the world is following. It's not a mandate for them, but they do it voluntarily. So whether they're reaching out to schools, or whether they're reaching out to old age homes, or whether they are trying to teach sports to a certain community of children, it's something that they do more as an employee volunteering program. CSR is more formal in India. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I want the audience to think questions for this panel, because everyone is doing very interesting work. So start thinking. Okay, we have already one. We'll go there in a few minutes, but just to make sure everyone is awake here. Okay, thank you. Ram, you mentioned that the culture is something very important for your organization, and that you have several tools that you might use. And this is a question for you, but I would like Monica and Aashish to also take over it after. But I would like to know, what is the glue internationally that makes all the people, despite their backgrounds, to work together, to be together? What are the tools that you use? What are the mechanisms, or what are these frequent meetings that you might have? Like, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier as well, at the core of what we do is women empowerment. But and these are projects. Say in India, we're doing policy evaluation of Panchayati Raj Department and the National Rural Livelihood Mission. Both of these are focused entirely on developing capacities of women across entrepreneurship, financial skills, and things like that. In the global office, LATAM, we are focusing on education, we are focusing on skill development, once again entrepreneurship, and there are many other projects. But as you pointed out, I think what is at the core is the culture and the mission to bring about change. And when and IMAGO is largely working on the missing middle. And when I say missing middle, it is the gap between the very small grassroots organizations and the larger ones, which are now self-sustainable. We are trying to help these grassroots level organizations to bridge that middle part of it, which then makes it scalable enough to then sustain on its own. So that is the idea which is driving the entire organization to work on. Because what we have observed is there are multiple small innovations which happen sporadically here and there across communities, be it India, be it Latin America, be it Africa, be it any other developing countries. But unfortunately, that is the missing middle, where resources are not there, where ideas are not there, where support systems, be it technology, be it any other skills set for organizations and as well as individuals, these are missing. And so we design frameworks. We have on evaluation, we have adaptive evaluation, which is very contrary to the existing lot of evaluation that is done in development sector. These are by design flexible. They focus on iterative learning. They focus on iterative design. And that means that when we roll out programs, our designs are flexible enough to actually imbibe on-ground, day-to-day feedback into it. So the theory of change is flexible within the framework of this. Then the other framework that we actually work on is the scaling up framework, where, as I was mentioning earlier, we try and find out what are those opportunities through different tools which enables these small grassroots organizations to, take that leap of becoming a very small grassroots organization to then becoming a self-sustainable organization. So these are largely the frameworks, and as you pointed out, while the projects are different across geographies, these frameworks remain similar. And because these frameworks are similar and yet flexible, what we are able to do is that we are very open to then welcome the feedbacks from the local context. Because when we take these frameworks to, say, Latin America, we are working on Foncodes on our entrepreneurship program. I and Josie, who you have met, I think we are working on a day-to-day basis to then understand there, because as Madam rightly pointed out, there are many programs by government on entrepreneurship, community entrepreneurship. And so when I'm working on Foncodes, I'm actually trying to garner insights from what worked in India, what didn't work, and place them in these frameworks of adaptive evaluation, scaling up design, iterative learning design. And then I'm asking my counterpart in Latin America to try and test it, and then give us the feedback as to did it work or not. So in a nutshell, the projects are different, but the frameworks that we design, they remain similar across geographies. And these are agile and flexible to then, get into that self-improvement loop and become effective.
Thank you so much. Aashish?
Sure. I think completely second to what you said. Just adding one quick point to that is in terms of I think the standardization of framework is very key because a lot of these learnings is also sometimes very contextual to a local geographies and local scenarios, but at the same time many of these are very replicable and scalable, right? But yes, I think what we need is more on some of these best practices to be shared, so then many more organizations can adopt and enable them. And again, I think platforms like these allows that kind of cross sharing among different partners to happen. So yeah, just want to add that while we are talking about some of these frameworks, but at the same time we also need more enabling platforms where these learnings can be shared across, right? I think being part of networks and being part of some mainstream channels, you still have access, but we're talking about large, like for a country as big as 1.5 billion people, it's such a large youth population, access to smaller towns, making this information available, that's very critical. I think that's an area where still we have a lot of work to do and there is a gap to be done. But yeah, I think we definitely see a positive shift happening, and again, the technology can play a strong role there as well.
Thank you.
When it comes to the projects that we work on, we are working, now if I give you the example of India, and some of it has been replicated in other countries as well. We work with close to 13 NGOs, and they're working at the grassroots level. So if I'm, say, my office is in Gurgaon, and I have my branch offices and my factories located across 8 locations, my projects could be more widespread. So I won't say that I have projects only in 8 locations where we have offices. They could be even beyond. Now, what technology has helped us do is kind of be connected with the last mile. So, for instance, we run this skilling program for the youth, and we have a couple of centers, one of which is in the interiors of Sundarbans district for women empowerment. Now, if the women or the unemployed youth need to be trained, they need to be trained basis what is the current demand in the industry. So, we are using technology to upskill them, providing them with the basic hardware as well as the software that is needed. So let's say if some of them are training to become general duty assistants, you would need those kind of applications that will help them to understand where is the need. So once they come out of the skill center as trained general duty assistants, they get attached to the local public healthcare system or to a local clinic, and in case there is a requirement, they immediately get a ping if they're connected through an application. So those are certain ways by which we kind of help of course, we just support financially. It is the grassroots level workers and the CSR partners that we have who are helping in getting this technology embedded in almost all the projects. So something as simple as where is the session? Let's say we are doing life skill sessions for children. Where is the session being conducted? So it's geotagged. Most of the information that we get on the WhatsApp groups that we have is geotagged. They do a baseline assessment, they do midline assessments, they do endline assessments. There is a certain format and a framework that they are following, which helps us as an organization to keep pace with what are the learnings that the children are getting, what is the improvement, what was the baseline. Let's say we are talking about something as basic as communication skills. Where were they when we started the project, and 9 months down the line, where is that particular child? Now, if the project has been replicated in the same institution for the next 3 years, have we seen something as simple as has absenteeism reduced? Are children communicating better with each other? Are they speaking better? You know, it's very easy for them to use a language which is not appropriate. So are they speaking better? So language, technology, communication platforms are used at the minutest level, and we're just hoping that as more and more technology, for all you know, AI is helping us power a lot of our projects that we are doing. And of course, even something as basic as, let's say we are managing trainings for the food safety officers. So we also work with the FSSAI. So how are we training them? A lot of them are joining online. The trainers could be located at one place. There are various mechanisms by which we are facilitating that these projects and the benefits of these projects go down to the target beneficiary group that we are looking at. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And since we have been talking about flexibility, we're going to be flexible and we're going to welcome Ms. Renuka on stage too. So we have to make a little room for her. She just arrived. Welcome. Welcome, no problem. Thank you. What a team. See, you're respecting my picture obsessions. Thank you. Thank you so much. And welcome, Renuka. So to start with, and to welcome you on this panel, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself? Who are you? What do you do?
My name is Renu Sharma. I am a women entrepreneur. I'm into jewelry business, precious jewelry, and I'm also a philanthropist. I work for women entrepreneurship.
Fantastic. And this panel is all about international collaboration, and I've heard great things about you. So can you tell us a little bit about your international work, about the collaborations you have had cross borders?
Yes, I'm doing business for last 30 years. I'm in gem and jewelry trade, and I've traveled all across the world for my exhibition, basically B2B. And this session, I was told that it is all about LAC countries and Caribbean countries. And I've been there. I've done exhibitions, I've done fashion shows, and there are a lot of problems, I faced. I also have a wholesale office in Dubai and opening a showroom soon there. And I'm in India. I'm part of Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council. I'm part of Delhi Domestic Council as well. So I work on these things, and when I did the program in LAC countries, and I've also done a jewelry show in Brazil, I have faced few problems, especially in LAC countries. When I went, I was part of embassy, Indian embassy there, and the government of Guatemala and El Salvador as well. So I found jewelry is next to impossible to export there, because none of my insurance company was willing to, do the insurance. Then there was a lot of problems about the logistics. None of the, courier companies and transport companies were willing to take it there. So we worked with embassy, we worked with government. These things are there, and we all know there is a lot of potential in LAC country, and especially Caribbean countries, where we have Indian population. They're all Indian, their roots are in India, They went there as an indentured labor, we all know, and today they are doing very well. And they are attached to their roots. They really want to do business with us. But there are a lot of things we can do among the government. I mean, it cannot, individual cannot do that. You know, we have to work a lot of things, and there are a lot of barriers. I can talk about challenges and other opportunities there. The barriers are, one is language. That's another thing. Plus the bureaucratic influence there. And you can't take a lot of things. Duty, tariffs are very bad. If we can have, you know, we recently done SIPA, that's the Freight Trade Agreement between India and Dubai, UAE. We are doing it with various countries. We have done it with Australia. UK is on the pipeline. But the problem there is, like, we don't have much tariffs with these countries. But there are potential, and I would like that government and these kind of platform will really help. And I recommend that we must make a paper and give it to the government, that there is a lot of scope. They like Indian things, and we are already exporting a lot of things, pharmaceuticals, IT industry, we have automobiles. I have seen in El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, all are Indian scooters, mobiles, automobile parts are there. And most of the IT industry, Big Way, Mahindra is there, Tata is there. But small people can't go there because of these hindrances. So we should all work together to find out how to work that out. Because I feel, because I've been doing to a lot of country, doing exhibition, trade shows, they are overcrowded now. We are in UAE, we are in, wherever we go, we are overcrowded. But we have to find out new venues. And these are the potential areas. We should work on these, and I think this platform can really help it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And you mentioned something that is very interesting. When we started coming to India 7 years ago with delegations of Latin America to learn how to really collaborate with the Indian impact ecosystem, the Embassy of Argentina always opened up their arms for us and help us understand the context. And I think embassies are a great place to start connecting with the other countries. So one question that comes to my mind is, what are the organizations, the networks, the actors of the ecosystem that help you understand the other context, right? To understand how to create businesses with other regions. I'd like to ask that question to you, if apart from the embassies, were there other actors involved, and also the rest of the panelists, especially Ram, I know we share Impact Latam Network, and...
So we have a privilege because we were set up in DC, and close to 60% of our team members are from Latin America. So they bring with them that network of organizations, partners, maybe government platforms from where we can, work smoothly, understand context, understand regulations, policies, especially in the development and policy sphere. So that's one benefit for us. And as a global entity, what is the benefit of, or how do we work with India? It is because in India, the beauty is that the entire team is of Indian origin. And so most of us, we live here, we understand the regulations, the policies, the vast variety of networks of philanthropists, as Madam rightly pointed out, the CSRs, which is the only the formal initiative of a social responsibilities that corporates have to do. So we have those innate, people and networks in our offices across borders. We also have presence in Africa, and one thing that we deliberately do is to have country-specific people, because as I earlier mentioned, we understand that people close to that context or problem are aware of the solutions. What we do is just to articulate those problems, channelize them to adequate platforms where the resources can be mobilized, and then co-create solutions to then, bring whatever changes that we want to see. So that's how we have been able to leverage networks, because we are present in those countries, and there are local people managing these. But other than that, we are also working with bilateral organizations, multilateral organizations. We are working with World Bank, we are working with IDB, which are organizations who work, across geographies. And these are developed countries as well. And so with them, we are able to then propagate the frameworks or the solutions, or any thought or any ideas that we want to build or test across geographies. So these are few of the channels that we have been able to leverage in order to work and be more impactful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to take on that question?
For an organization like ours, where we originated from Italy and then Netherlands also became our second headquarters, to now being present across different countries, the kind of networking and the kind of support that we receive is actually, it's just seamless for us. Because we could be, while we have our factories here, we could be procuring a lot of raw materials from a different country altogether. So there is an entire network of people in every office that we have across the different countries that are working together in collaboration to ensure that the factories are running smoothly. There is so there is export of manpower. So a lot of people from India also go and work in, let's say, Indonesia or Brazil, and get those best practices back to our country, and we take our practices there. So, like I keep on mentioning, that CSR is one such thing which is very nicely defined in our country, and we take that to different countries, and wherever they want to incorporate and they can incorporate, they go ahead and do it. So for a multinational corporation, we do have our challenges, but the beauty is that there are enough people to kind of help us go over those challenges and ensure that the company does well across the world.
Thank you.
I think just to your question, more than embassies, what has worked, we haven't had so much engagement with embassies, while they've been part of certain, dialogues through industry associations, right? Like you have CII, FICCI of the world, and likewise, you have this investment promotion councils or corporations, which are great enablers for trade and businesses among. But I think social impact, social entrepreneurship is always not a most important priority for this. Is very focused on business and trade. Whereas I think, there are certain good alliances and examples, right? I like to mention there's Catalyst Now, which is a global organization, used to be called Catalyst 2030. Now they've just very recently rebranded themselves as Catalyst Now. Is a good example where they've built a global network only for social entrepreneurs, social innovators, right? And they are giving them cross-boundary access of knowledge, a lot of virtual session, plus then started hosting a lot of physical events, global events. Recently they were at World Economic Forum at Davos, entire side event which was focusing on social innovation. So a lot of global leaders, social entrepreneurs who were there had that opportunity to learn from some of these high-level conversations, right? There are numerous examples, right? Ashoka is another great organization, again DC-based, but globally the network is very strong. I've been part of, MASH has been a part of their program for young people called Ashoka Changemaker Exchange, which is very regional, so it was part of the Asia cohort. That has been really, really, really good in our case, right? Then there's a Global Shapers, which is World Economic Forum's initiatives, which allows a lot of people to build these local communities in global cities, right? So I think, again, I just want to reiterate one of the things I said in the beginning. Community building is very, very key. But once you're part of that community, what comes out of it, how is engaged, the people who are convening that community, so what sort of design that they put through is very, very critical. While there are some great examples, but at some point it should not be overload of, that you're part of so many, but what is the impact, or what is the, outcome of being part of so many networks, right? So maybe few, and then there could be, of course, inter-collaboration among those as well, right? I know you work with Latin Impacto, we work with their counterparts, AVPN in India, South Asia. They're, again, a great example of how Funders Social Investors Network is enabling a lot of cross-collaborations among the funder donors aspect sides of as well. So numerous examples, but again, how do we marry the strength among these networks, and at what stage each of these initiatives are? You could decide best, because I believe in the audience there will be a lot of social entrepreneurs, businesses like ma'am, who want to really take value, but at what stage you are, then you can see where do you want to like be a part and most actively engaged with. Yeah.
Thank you.
And digital communities, not to mention digital communities is also something which is picking up really, really well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the key players in the entire ecosystem are also the global funders or the philanthropists who actually fund across borders, and those are actually the nodes through which these partnerships actually fly across geographies. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I agree with you. Like we are part of this Goalkeepers by the Gates Foundation. So one of the award winners 2 years back. Sorry, I think not able to hear on the mic. Yes. So just adding to what Sir said, that global funders foundations play also a very critical role in terms of cross-border collaborations and learning. So we've been part of one of the programs by the Gates Foundation called the Goalkeepers. We've been also fortunate to receive an award by them in New York a few years back for our work. And I think that's enabled a lot of cross collaborations among. They bring in some of their community of partners, funders, donors. So within that short 1 or 2 days, a lot gets enabled in terms of knowledge exchange, ideas, collaboration, and so forth. So I think the role of these large foundations, multilaterals, bilaterals, global foundations like Gates, Rockefellers, and even large CSR organizations in India are taking that active role, like Reliance Foundation, among others, who are enabling more and more, global collaborations or South-South collaborations, and likewise, yeah.
Thank you. And I'd like to keep the mic and make one question before going to the audience questions. Both Aashish and Monica, you mentioned the role of technology in enabling collaboration. So I would like you, since we are in a practical panel, what is the technology that you use every day, right? What kind of, what is it? Is it apps? Is it software? Is it hardware? What kind of technology you're using to enable collaboration? And what is the role of AI in this picture?
Who wants to go first? Okay. All right. I think one of the big advantages of our generation is access to the social media. There's so much gets enabled through platforms like LinkedIn, through platforms like now Instagram, where you're able to learn a lot what's happening in this sector and space at large, right? So definitely, I think we are one of the strong believers in the power of social media for good. We have a whole team which looks at strategic communications, campaigns, narrative building, social behavior change, using the power of media for good. So definitely that, but that's the objective is in terms of awareness and advocacy building, likewise. But when you talk about deepening that engagements, I think what has been working for us is these close communities. Like WhatsApp has created this WhatsApp community where you can just have those very like-minded people who are interested in specific subject, could be geographic focus, could be related to a cause, get a lot of these conversations enabled, right? Another thing that we also believe is strongly working well for us is these, I don't know, a lot of people may not be aware of this, but there are these very sophisticated community management tools and channels. One example I can share with you is a platform called Mighty Networks, which creates these white label tools for organizations where they can host your community. So your community of volunteers, your community of partners, funders, stakeholders, you can host them on a platform and it will be under your name. Like MASH can have its channel and you will never see that it's hosted on a backend platform where our stakeholders can see a lot of information in a very, very clear manner. The programs that we are running, who are the other people part of the community, build these connections more digitally, and then, you can go deep down. So there's a few such examples, I would say, that's worked well for us, yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, yeah.
For our company and for the projects that we run, our technology is kind of, I could say there are two legs to it. One is, of course, digital that you're talking about, the social media, the WhatsApp communities. The other is the technology that we're using in terms of the machinery. So even in the projects that we are running, we are trying to while we are automating, let's say we are running a material recovery facility where there are people who are employed to run the machineries which are the baling machines or the shredding machines, or you have the conveyor belt. So there is technology at the machinery level which has been integrated as seamlessly as we could. Maybe we can do even better when we connect with more social groups. And the second is the digital leg of it. Now, right now, we are not heavily into the digital leg. And I'm talking more from the social side. I'm not talking from the organization side because I'm not permitted to, because that would be the cyber team that would be talking about it. In terms of the social projects, we rely a lot on WhatsApp. I mean, whatever you can say, WhatsApp really works very well for us. And the geotagging, where it gives me sitting here and understanding of what is happening at the last mile, as I mentioned before. One thing that we are trying to do with the communities that we're working with is actually teach them the sensibility of being on social media. They're saying that LinkedIn has become the new Facebook. So we are telling them how to use LinkedIn more effectively and productively rather than just scrolling, like they say, doom scrolling on Instagram. So people are doing doom scrolling on LinkedIn, looking for jobs, pinging, sending messages, random messages, which really don't make sense. So using it effectively is what we're trying to tell them. How much AI we can integrate, how much more technology we can push to the same set of people or the new set of people that we are working with depends upon how comfortable we are in doing it. You cannot teach something which you are not comfortable doing it. So happy to embrace as much technology as we can, but wherever it helps us in, let's say, impact assessments, in connecting better, in our beneficiaries utilizing to get a job or to probably send a CV, or to connect with someone more effectively over LinkedIn, is what I would say is the level of technology we want to stick with. Anything better that can help our projects become stronger, help our beneficiaries get something out of it is acceptable, but what's happening on Instagram is not something that we would want to propagate as much. It could have been a good platform where women entrepreneurs are promoting their products. I see, in fact, every second reel is an advertisement for something or the other. So if that can be used effectively, why not? But again, doom scrolling is what scares me.
Thank you.
So we have a large body of work around agro processing in India, and as Monica ma'am rightly mentioned, we also have two legs of technology to our work. One is heavy machinery, where our women actually work in processing units. So these are big machineries of grinders, graders, pulses processing machine, packaging machine, and all of that. So that's one very heavy component, actually hard machines where women are working. And the second part is, because these are enterprises and businesses, we rely heavily on accounting softwares. And that is another part of work where we work very sincerely on, teaching these women to actually learn accounting first and then, transport them into those accounting softwares. Because everything that goes into a business works on numbers, accounts, and profitability calculations and others. So we rely actually a lot on these accounting numbers. And for that matter, I think in Indian ecosystem, especially non-profits who are working on businesses, social entrepreneurship, enterprises, they rely heavily on accounting softwares. So while from outside it may not look that an organization working on grassroots may not be technology savvy, but I think at the base of most of the organizations who are working on entrepreneurship, these accounting softwares are very, very critical. And there are for-profit corporations which are actually making these softwares available at subsidized rate as part of their CSR programs for some of these non-profits to actually employ in their projects across the board.
Thank you. I think Aashish wants to.
I would like to tell you from the business perspective,
Yes.
technology has done a lot. We are in India also promoting Digital India, and it's really working very well. Especially if I talk about my business, biggest problem our business. I started business when technology was not there. You know, we started working like manually everything. But today, my inventory management, which is the main thing about any jeweler, is totally on business. You know, I know how many pieces are there. I can just see it on my computer. And if you know, it has gone so far that even I know how many pieces are there in my bin, in my which show window I have how many pieces. So that, of course, accountancy, like he talked about it. We also have software specially designed for jewelry. And sitting here, I can show my customer my design, what they want. It's become so much easy now. And of course, artificial intelligence is now taking its place. So that will also make a lot of changes. So for jewelry, even jewelry designing, earlier we used to take months to design. Now we have CAD, CAM. So on computer, we do all those things. So technology is really taken. And lastly, like we are talking about LSC countries and all, distances was the main barrier for a country, for anywhere to work with. That is also shortened because of technology. We can talk to the people. Things have become a lot more easier now. So from business perspective, I can talk. I'm also a philanthropist. We have so many philanthropists, so I won't be talking on that line.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Very small point. I think you spoke about AI. I couldn't touch upon that piece, but some really good examples of how AI is now started to use, especially in the social impact programs, are like AI chatbots. So we partnered with UNFPA in India on a chatbot called Just Ask Khul Ke Pucho. Likewise with Reckitt, which is a global health and hygiene company, we run a CSR program with them called the Birds and the Beestalk, which is on a comprehensive sexual education for young people. And I think that's where technology is really being very effective, where young people are not so comfortable asking about issues related to sexual reproductive health. And AI tools are really enabling them to get some information, verified information at ease, right? Second thing, with ABPN, they've launched a very interesting fund with Google called the AI. I'm forgetting the full name, but it's you can look it up. It's the AI fund for non-profits and social enterprises, which are looking to adopt AI in their day-to-day work. So part of the fund is also going to build capacities of these organizations, right? So there's a huge opportunity which is unfolding. So I think for our friends in the room, especially the ones who have come to India to learn about some of these really good models, it'll be really interesting to see what's happening. At the same time, large organizations like Google, Microsoft with their India teams are also opening a lot of opportunities, right? And just to add, one of the previous point was about this role of multinationals, where there's a lot of cross-learning that's enabling through such funds or such programs which are looking at the use of AI, right? Yeah, that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I'm getting the sign that we have to wrap up. So let's leave the questions for the break that we'll have after. Thank you so much. It was very interesting to talk with you today. We've seen the power of technology to enable collaboration, the need for creating communities for this international collaboration to happen, the importance of being part of networks or engaging with different actors of the ecosystem and participating in such kind of events. Our role in EKHOS is really to enable these conversations to happen, to find partners, and we also do it privately for organizations that need partners and don't know where to start. So we are very glad to have you here today. Thank you very much, and we invite you to stay in the day, enjoying the forum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to the panelists and the moderator.